3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And if you haven't heard about Caffeine for the Soul Press, I'm very proud to announce that we have launched our own publishing company. And our first two books, It's That Simple, A User's Manual for Human Beings by Mavis Karn, and the children's book, The Little Princess in the Palace of Wisdom by me, illustrated by Celia Boll, are now available at your local Amazon. Please check it out. Now, today's podcast is, I'm calling it a pre-flight checklist for your day. And it's a kind of an equipment check that I find kind of helpful to go through to remind yourself whenever, you can do it at the beginning of your day, you can do it whenever you feel like, am I broken? Is something wrong here? To just kind of remind yourself and reassure yourself that you work perfectly and you do not need fixing. So the first thing we're going to check, the first piece of equipment we're going to check is your thought feeling system. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine sucking on a lemon. I mean, really just imagine like biting into it and kind of sucking the juice out of it. And if your face is kind of scrunching and puckering as you imagine that, well, that's your thought feeling system working exactly as designed. If you're not quite sure, you want to kind of run a secondary test. Think a happy thought. Think about someone that you love, someone that loves you, something that you love, something that loves you. And if you feel any kind of a warmth or shift in your own feeling, that's the thought feeling system working exactly as designed. We live in the feeling of thought. And so that thought feeling system is always on and always working. Now, what's next on our checklist? Well, for this one, I want you to close your eyes if it's safe to do so. And I want you to just check and see, do you still know that you're there? Like without looking, without hearing, without necessarily smelling or tasting or touching. Do you know that you're there? And depending on what else is in your environment, you may be able to sense other things in your environment. Again, without smell, taste, touch, without the five senses. And if you know that you're there, if you can sense the presence of other things in your environment, then consciousness is working perfectly. The gift of consciousness, that which allows us to be aware, which informs the senses, that's working perfectly. Now here's the last item on the checklist. And what I want you to do is I want you to find something that's safe to drop. So you could just grab a pen or a notebook or just anything that isn't going to break if you drop it. And I want you to just check that gravity is on. So take it and let it go. And if gravity is working, if the intelligence behind nature is switched on, then it'll drop. Now you might be tempted not to try it. I'm going to encourage you to actually do it. Actually drop something. Check and see, is gravity on? Sometimes I when I'm doing this check, I'll look for something living. I'll look outside and I'll see a tree and I'll see the wind moving the trees, or I'll see the rain falling if it's raining, or I'll see the sun shining. And I'll know the intelligence behind nature is switched on. Now, take it a little deeper. Notice if your heart is beating. Now, my guess is if you're listening to me, your heart is beating, but see if you can actually just feel it. Feel your heart beating. You can put your hand there if it helps. And notice if you're breathing without any intent or effort on your part. Notice if your body is breathing and if your heart is beating, and if they are, and I hope that they are, I trust that they are, then the intelligence behind the body is on. Now, this one's a little bit different. I want you to tune in, and I want you to ask for a new thought to come to mind. You can literally just say, hey, I'd like a new thought, please, something I've not thought before. You can tune in and you can say, hey, what do you got for me today? And if something new, something fresh comes to mind, then you know the intelligence behind the mind is on, what I sometimes talk about as the deeper mind. Now, if your thought-feeling system is working, that will guide you through your day. It will let you know that, how is your thinking working today in this moment? If it's giving you a lot of uncomfortable feelings, then you're probably in some uncomfortable thinking. So you can kind of back off it. If it's bringing you good feelings, then you can trust it. There's a very simple test I talk about sometimes in these podcasts, which lets you know whether you're using the thought-feeling system as a weapon or a tool. If it feels bad, if it hurts, then inadvertently you're probably using it as a weapon against yourself or others. If it feels good, if it feels clear, if it feels like it's flowing, then you can follow it. It's probably worth seeing where it takes you, like a ride on a magic carpet. If consciousness is on, then you'll be able to recognize thought. You'll be able to see thought, and you'll be able to distinguish between those sort of thoughts and feelings in the moment that are continually changing and those deeper thoughts from the deeper mind, those guiding thoughts from the deeper mind, those thoughts that come in moments of clarity, moments of quiet, moments of peace, moments of good feeling. And if you've got your mind working, the deeper mind, the intelligence behind life on your side, if your consciousness is switched on, you are awake and aware, and if your thought-feeling system is working, you've got everything you need to succeed at whatever it is you're going to do today. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.